very nearly forgot to give my day 4 update. I don't usually have myself torn between 3 ongoing series I'm currently juggling, so that's weird to me, but I just don't think I can settle on being fully absorbed by any of them. Hopefully though, tomorrow I'll have enough time to at least finish one of these series, because I've only finished 2 series now, and now I'm starting to get a little nervous. Happy Manga Monday! And I'm back with another crazy reading challenge for you all that I put myself through for hopefully your enjoyment. And yeah, I tried to see if I could read 7 series in 7 days. And the only rules I put on myself is that I couldn't read any duologies, had to be 3 volumes or more, and I could only read 3 3-volume series. But I actually got a lot more into reading and felt really good about it, so I ended up only reading 1 3-volume series. But yeah, you'll see if I got a little cocky, or if I actually completed my challenge at the end, and I'll tally up how many volumes I actually ended up reading in 7 days. But as I was talking to a friend while I was doing this challenge, I mentioned how the first couple series I had started for the challenge, I'd already started them previously, I'd read a volume or 2, and now I wanted to read the whole series. So he was like, oh, you should do that for all of them. So I was like, crap, okay, yeah, I think I could do that. So I pivoted a little, changed up a few of the ideas of series I was going to read for this challenge. And all in all, I'm really glad, because not only did I get a lot of manga read off my TBR and backlog, some that I've had for years that I haven't finished reading, but I feel accomplished because I tackled a lot of these series that I started, and now I can say I finally finished them. I finally read them. So yeah, that was about all the rules or guidelines I kind of gave to myself for the challenge. But yeah, I started on September 11th, a Thursday. As you can see here, I kind of vlogged while I did this, but I'm really only going to be intersplicing little bits of it because I don't really think it's that interesting. I don't say a lot of interesting things. And I kind of jump around because I didn't make it a set rule. I had to finish a series a day, so it's kind of all over the place, because I'll read multiple series in a day. But yeah, so first 2 series I kind of tackled. One series that I'm going to try to read that I'm not sure, honestly, if I can completely read it along with 6 other series. It's my most ambitious one to tackle because it is 11 volumes, and most of the volumes are quite thick. But I think it'll go quickly because it's one of those killer be killed monster and mayhem type stories, and that is Shibuya Goldfish. At least a good amount of years ago I started this series, but other than I know giant fish appear and attack everybody, I don't really remember anything, and I think I only read 2 of the volumes. And yeah, so I'm gonna try and tackle this one. The first small series that I want to tackle in this challenge is Magical Girl Incident. So this is complete at 3 volumes, and I did read the first volume. I wasn't super blown away, but yeah, again, that was when it came out because I pre-ordered it. So it's been a while, and I'm gonna reread it and then read volume 2 and 3. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna hopefully finish this one today while starting Shibuya Goldfish. That is my goal. Good luck to me. I wanted to try and give myself an easy short read with the Magical Girl Incident because it is complete in 3 volumes. And at the same time, I wanted to come out the gate swinging with a long series. It's actually the longest series that I did read in this challenge. Shibuya Goldfish is complete at 11 volumes. So yeah, I was trying to like balance myself, give myself short goal, but also like a big series to tackle. But yeah, the first series I actually ended up finishing is the one I'll talk about first on how I felt about it overall. And that is the Magical Girl incident. So obviously, these were cover buys. All the covers are so pretty. Like, I think I end up showing all of them in the vlog, so I'll just like splice that in so you can see them. Ignore my mouth moving. It's yapping, but it's not really saying anything important. But yeah, for only being 3 volumes, I'd say this series tackled a lot of characters, plot threads, and just a lot of things in them, and it didn't feel too rushed or too disjointed. The idea of gender bent magical girls is the premise of this one, and it's honestly a rather fun twist on a tried and true trope of magical girls. An office drone who's always wanted to be a hero becomes a magical girl. Like, it's silly and it's whimsical, but there's actually a little more depth to it just being this fun little silly gender bending. However, because of its short nature, I don't feel like it's really able to fully explore and ruminate on the darker aspects as much. And yeah, so by no means do I think this is a perfect short series. It definitely could have used some more volumes to flesh things out and take its time with, especially the antagonist. I guess what I would say would be a major antagonist of the series, who we don't learn too much about or get too deep into his thought process, his motivations, his characterization. And so it feels kind of like whiplash when he has a change of heart so easily in the 3rd and final volume. Honestly, it was a bit of a letdown, along with some other big reveals that just are kind of sprung on us readers and don't have as big of an impact as if they'd been allowed to be teased out more, or if the characters were allowed to react more to the revelations and information given. It's just kind of like, here you go, this is some information, and they're like, what? And then, oh, we got to move on to the next thing. You know, it doesn't have time to marinate in these things. However, despite all of these like little nitpicks I had with it, it left me feeling like this was quite a sweet series. The premise that has a lot to do with love, self-love, familial love, friendship love, like, yeah, it could have been executed better, but it had that heart and at the core, and I just appreciate that. You know, it was trying its best. It's a bit all over the place. It has a lot of heart, and yeah, you know, well, I don't think it's the best written story. I think I'll be keeping it because it's just very sweet and full of quite lovely passion and adorableness and magical girls. While I was reading that one, concurrently, like I said, I was reading our next type, Shibuya Goldfish. So this was a lot darker than the magical girl incident. Like, you know, way more dark premise with these giant man-eating goldfish that appear in Shibuya. It's kind of a crazy premise, like the people of Shibuya and these goldfish are suddenly trapped by a giant fish bowl that appears, and these man-eating fish who speak. It's a pretty out there concept, to say the least. But it was surprisingly horrific to me. Like, I'd say the first couple of volumes were nail-biting, like, creepy, like, as sufficiently, like, horrifying, you know? And it was also one of the most fun, unique premises I've had the pleasure of consuming when it comes to a survival type story. I will say that my first reaction after reading this I'll put it in here. Second day and after work, so it's almost 6 p.m. and I finished Shibuya Goldfish. I can't believe that the first like thought words out of my mouth at the end were like, oh, that's cute. That was a cute series. How did Killer Goldfish, Death and Mayhem become cute? Yeah. I did have a fun time with it. I can't lie. Like, I think it does do the horror well in the beginning. I think it loses a bit of the gripping, creepy, and more horrific edge it has because it does become a little idealistic, as in so many characters survive impossibly deadly situations. As much as you don't want to see your favorites die, it's kind of like par for the course with survival stories. That part kind of went out the window as we went on. So I do think it loses its horror edge and just kind of becomes more of an action-packed thrill ride. It was still fun. Yeah, this was just more of like a popcorn thriller, like a B movie, but a really fun B movie. I just, yeah. I mean, the killer be killed aspect, of course, always makes for a fast read, which kept me on my toes and also made me think I could finish this one. And I actually finished it in 2 days. So I finished it by the second day of my challenge. And yeah, I mean, we don't get a lot of questions answered, and I kind of figured we wouldn't. I mean, how do you explain giant goldfish spawning from nowhere and eating people? I was kind of prepared for that, but I still did like the little breadcrumbs they offered as explanations, and I actually honestly wish we'd gotten a little more of that. It was quite interesting what we did get and the ideas behind it. I didn't think were as outlandish as I thought they'd be. Just like the execution of like this large-scale Shibuya attack were kind of like the two pieces didn't quite connect, but what do you want from giant killer goldfish story? Like, it's gonna be a little crazy, but it was a fun time, like I said. And I would happily reread it again. So once more, this one is staying on my shelf. Then the third day, I felt a bit lost. I didn't really know what I felt like reading. Day 3 currently. I honestly don't think I'll be finishing a series today because I can't seem to like land on one. I just keep like flitting around and starting many different series. So yeah, this morning I started Hellsing Volume 1. I have technically read Hellsing like up to a certain point, like a couple volumes while I was collecting it way back when. But then it took me so long to get the final volume that I, never ended up finishing it. So I really wanted to restart it. Felt just so classically like Halloween vibes, vampire vibes. I'm all about it. However, I read the first volume and I was just kind of like, maybe something else. So then I tried Wonderland Volume 1. This is a short series, a shorter series. I thought maybe I'd have more motivation to tackle this one instead. And, I thought, okay, good. Another like survival story after Shibuya Goldfish. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. I mean, of course, I enjoyed the first volume of both of these, but I was just like, So then I picked up Her Royal Highness Seems to Be Angry, Volume 1. And I'm like, maybe something completely different, something that like is like my bread and butter in my wheelhouse. Like it's just an easy read and like a guilty pleasure type story. Again, I have started this one. It's only a 5-volume series and I've read 3 volumes of it, but I never finished it. So I'm like, it's been quite a while. let me restart it. And I did read 2 volumes of this one, but again, I just kind of, I don't know. I do like it. It's got like a reincarnation plotline. So yeah, again, I like the premise of all of these ones. I don't think it's the manga, I think it's me. So since I'm so wishy-washy, I just wanted to introduce the series that I've started in day 3. Maybe day 4 will be more promising. Maybe I will be able to complete at least like one of these shorter series. However, the first one I was able to finish was the 5-volume complete series, Her Royal Highness Seems to Be Angry. This is a series with some lovely art, especially these covers, which was the reason I picked them up again. And the premise that Letty, our main character, meets a terrible, disastrous end and wakes up 1,000 years later trying to figure out what happened to her, why she's still alive, why she still remembers like her previous life, and why she's suddenly in the body of Lady Drossel. So the problem with this one is it just had too damn much going on. Like, it had a lot of interesting aspects, but it had too much to juggle for a 5-volume series. Like, it would need double that, I think, to naturally kind of tell the story this wanted to tell. And I'm pretty sure it's based off a light novel, and don't know how many volumes of the light novel there are, but I didn't feel like it was able to flesh out many of the characters, and it almost went from telling one type of story in the first 3 volumes to drastically switching gears and wrapping the whole story up in the last 2 volumes. And it was able to do that by a lot of, you guessed it, exposition. A lot of character talk to you and tell you what happened, to fill in the blanks, to fill in the gaps, to make the story make sense. And granted, I do think it comes together and explains all the things pretty well. Like, I didn't have like, oh my god, massive plot holes or anything. There was like a few nitpicks on the plot and the progression, but it was just mostly how it was paced, how the information was dumped on us as readers, and dumped on the characters as well. Because like, you guys are taking too long to figure this shit out. Here, I'll just tell you. Like, oh, I hate that so much. It really grinds my gears when that happens. It's just like, no. Like, this is so inorganic. It wasn't bad, but it irritated me because it could have been executed so much better. And it's like, yes, I hate a bad series the most, but next to that, like very close to that, I hate a series with so much promise that doesn't get the time, the energy, the chance to shine. It just wasn't executed as well as it should have been, in my opinion, of course. But yeah, it was kind of a letdown, but I kind of suspected that when we were at volume 3, and like, I had no idea how this was getting concluded, like how all of this was going to tie up and be completed. And yeah, by a lot of info dumping by volume 4, and a lot of info dumping even in our final volume. And yeah, so I didn't feel satisfied with this one, even though it has lovely art and a premise that I'm usually a sucker for. It wasn't a bad read by any means. It just wasn't a well executed story, in my opinion. So I will be unhauling this one. This is the first series that I will not be keeping on my shelves. A friend's already claimed it, so going to a good home. Then I ended up finishing Wonderland, a series that's complete in 6 volumes. And I will start with the positives. I will say I love the concept of this one and how it begins. It plunks us into a crazy scenario right alongside our protagonist Yukino, so you can really understand and relate to her confusion of suddenly waking up miniature. like the size of a small doll. And in real time realize the sudden harrowing dangers of the world now that you have shrunk. Things that you maybe necessarily wouldn't have thought of just because you are now a much smaller size. The world is a much more dangerous place. And I think that works well as a setup to the story and gives you a proper weight to this crazy supernatural phenomenon that's going on, because it's not just affecting Yukino, it's affecting this whole prefecture. However, how the story then goes on to explain this phenomenon was, to me, a bit nonsensical and convoluted. You will probably hear a loud chewing happening from the dog, but just popping in before bed to say that I did finish Wonderland, so yay! I'm gonna leave it to future me to suss out what the heck I feel about this one, because it was a bizarro ride. Yeah, hopefully I have better words to say about how I feel, having had more time to stew on it perhaps. But I'm not sure that's going to be the case. All the pieces used to explain things felt conveniently tossed in, and characters that were dangerous and a big deal suddenly become inconsequential to wrap this story thread up, or they magically appear out of nowhere in the later half of the series. There was such a messiness to the execution of this one that I genuinely am interested if it was canceled, if the mangaka simply didn't have a good idea of how to end this one. Like, they had a good idea, and then they're like, well, I don't really know how to end it. Like, we'll just keep having crazy things happen until I gotta wrap it up, you know? It felt like it devolved more and more. It wasn't just like the last volume was messy. It was like the story started losing itself the further it went. But yeah, on top of all of that, we get an ending that still feels extremely rushed and in a way unfinished. Like, I definitely wasn't satisfied with the ending. And so yeah, this one, it had me intrigued, but overall left me disappointed. The covers, the art, like, it's so nice, and like I said, I really love the setup of this one. This first volume is what made me collect the series in the first place, because it was so cool and so interesting and so dark and grim, and just, yeah, I love a Wonderland concept too, not gonna deny that. But it just, you know, so I'm torn. I kind of want to keep it because of the concept and the Wonderland influence and the covers, but then another part of me is like, just unhaul it. I'm on the fence with this one. You'll see it again in a future video in October though, so at least until the end of the year I'm keeping it, and then I will decide what I'm doing with it after. That'll make sense to you later. Stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed so you can check out that video too, because that was a big challenge I tackled this year that this series will be tied to, and a couple other series. Moving on to the last series I finished of that group I started on the third day. It's been a long day of reading, but I'm pretty proud of myself. I managed to finish Hellsing. I wasn't sure I was going to, but I'd say like half of the series, or like at least the last third of the series, is a lot of action, a lot of battle, not a lot of dialogue. So that definitely helped. I absolutely love the art of Hellsing. Like, yeah, I'll get more into it, I'm sure, when I've organized my thoughts. But yeah, initial feelings was that, yeah, overall I had a fun time with this. A lot of gruesome gore and vampire slaying and stuff, but yeah, fun time. So yeah, to me, Hellsing was an interesting series But my favorite thing about it is the art. The art is peak. Like, oh my god, it's so good. It's full of so much just pure deep blackness and thick black lines that mirror not only the vampires' dreadful inhumane darkness that they, you know, cover themselves in. They need the darkness to do their evil deeds, but also humanity's twisted darkness inside of us, as we see through the three factions that become the central focus of Hellsing. The art also does depict a lot of gore, blood, and mayhem splattered across the pages. But above all else, it is the faces, the expressions. They're so perfectly illustrated to capture a madness on all sides. It's like a beauty so crazed and contorted and richly illustrated to bring to life the essence of this story. So humans and vampires alike exist in this hellish atmosphere, all fighting for their own twisted and, in their minds, altruistic purposes. We have the Protestants, which are led by Hellsing, and the vampire Alucard that the head of Hellsing has under her control. And they use Alucard and vampires to kill other vampires and restore order. But also their order and feelings do have a level of religious supremacy or superiority to them, as does the next big power of this series, which is the Vatican or the Catholics, who clash with them throughout the series, believing that they are the superior and the almighty religion. And then, of course, they are compounded against the great evil that is the resurgence of the Third Reich. If you know what I mean, it's the Nazi faction. So this is led by a super crazy dude, a madman if you will, who just wants to revel in a great never-ending war. That's all he wants is war. And yeah, that's a recipe for disaster with these three groups of people, all with their own unwavering beliefs and desires for power and superiority complexes gripping them. Yeah, it's a vampire story on the precipice of pure madness. That is why I like Hellsing. I do have to say my biggest gripe with this one would be the stupid dialects that they use to represent the different regions and the different, like way that different people from different places speak. In my mind, it is so hard to calibrate the change from like W's to V's and like the vivant the world domination. It's like, just who cares? I do not care. You do not have to make them distinct to me. Like I get based on the look of them and who their side is. I get it. Some of them are from Germany, some of them are from Italy, some of them are from England. We do not need the stupid V's and the stupid it's such a nitpick for me, but it's hard for me while I was reading this to just be like, okay, don't skim over it, Zoe. You need to figure out what they're saying because you just want to skim over it because you hate translating it. But yeah, while I do have a lot of kind words for the most part, I do think the story itself leaves a bit to be desired. It's much more focused on these grand archetypes and the brutality than actual character development and more like nuanced story depth on like a smaller scale. Focuses more on more spectacle of war and the grander ideologies. It's not a bad story by any means, but as it went on, I did enjoy it more and more. I love me a strong female character as well, and so I did really love the head of Hellsing, Integra, as well as Saris, who is a young girl who is turned into a vampire by Alucard in the beginning. She really grows on me. And of course I love Alucard. I also really like Walter. He's an interesting character. And yeah, it's probably why I enjoyed it as much as I did, because even if these characters didn't get quite as developed. They were still strong and interesting and fun in their own ways. And their character designs were badass and the action is badass. So yeah, this was deadly fun. Needless to say, I'll keep it in my collection. For my second to last read, I was getting a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because I felt like I took the weekend a little too lax. And so I was getting down to Monday, I had so many reads still to finish, and then Tuesday, which was the second to last day, update into day 6, and it is pretty late into day 6. I'm getting a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but I did finish How to Treat Magical Beasts, Mine and Master's Medical Journal. This is a cute 5-volume series that mixes modern veterinarian sciences along with the fantastical and magical. And yeah, it was just a nice cozy comfort read, and it was a perfectly cozy fall series. It takes place in a world that is moving away from fantasy and magic towards science and technology. And our protagonist, Ziska, is stuck in the middle. She is an apprentice veterinarian to her master, but at the same time, her lineage, her mom, grandma, her entire ancestry has been tied to sorcery and magic. So she can still see the magical creatures, and she still wants to help them, and she still wants to use magic for good in the world and to treat her patients. And we do get a lovely mix of supernatural, fantastical patients, as well as the more everyday, I hate to say mundane, but the usual veterinarian patients like bunnies and cats and stuff. So yeah, this one was just very earnest and sweet with very pretty art, and it's nothing crazy unique story-wise or out there concept-wise, but yeah, it was just a nice read with likable characters, and I enjoyed it. I mean, there's not a ton to say about it, but if you feel like a cozy fantasy read for the fall or, any time of the year, I think it's a really nice one, Just, I love a good blend of fantasy and slice of life stories. A nice comfort read, And yeah, so it was an easy read, and I'm gonna keep it on my shelves. I had a really nice time with it. Okay, it is the 7th and final day. Let's see if I can read 7 complete series in 7 days. And I think I can. Last night I was like, you know what? I should just read one more volume before I go to bed, right? So I did read volume 2 of The Recipe of Gertrude. And then this morning I read volume 3 and I read volume 4. Technically the story, the main story, is over in volume 4, but there is a 5th volume that has a bunch of short story collected things that have to do with the main story, I guess. So technically I have to read one more volume. I'm really torn because while I love the art and I just really enjoy the art of this one. This mangaka is really nice, but the story itself, it just was messy and rushed, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't genuinely, sorry, and genuinely feel for their connection and their chemistry. And while I thought they were really cute, it still was just yeah, but still don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't get it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna try and read the 5th volume and be done with the series, but yeah, that's all. My brain is so freaking dumb today, this morning. I gotta go for a run, try to clear my brain because I already made so many dumb mistakes today. Yay, I did it. I read 7 complete series in 7 days. It is Wednesday, September 17th. Thank God, I was getting a bit stressed there. I read so many volumes yesterday. Yeah, I guess I was being like a little lackadaisical in the middle there, but I really had to put 110% in the second to last day. But yay, I'm so happy I did it. I finished the recipe for Gertrude. Yeah, these short stories were like whatever. I kind of assumed they'd be whatever. Some were okay, some were boring. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I genuinely feel like this older series could have had potential, because despite me not feeling like it had a solid, well-developed storyline and rushed the relationship between our main characters, Gertrude and Sahara, I still genuinely enjoyed them, which surprised me. Like, I enjoyed them and I enjoyed their relationship, even though I felt like it was sorely lacking in development. Like, whenever that happens, I have to scratch my head and just be like, huh? Like, how does that happen? I'm usually a stickler for, like, characters have to feel realistic and their development has to feel realistic. So this one left me befuddled, to say the least. I just wish the story felt more cohesive and like it was planned out in advance rather than feeling kind of slapdash together. It had good elements, and I really do love this art style, this older art style. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it just hits, right? It just hits for me anyway. But and I do feel like this in some older series, like it's so focused on an idea and like elements to the stories and like establishing characters, and it gives you little like snippets, little, you know, the chapters that are released, because that's how they're released first in Japan, as chapters. And it's almost like sometimes mangakas were focused more on just giving you these nice chapters instead of focused on an overarching, cohesive, well thought out storyline. Like, it just kind of, oh, I guess I'll have it go here, and oh, I guess this can happen, and I guess I'll tie that to this. Like, it has some elements that seem like it was thought out, but then most of it didn't feel that way to me. Most of it felt very, this'll do. Like, hey, let's have him do this. Okay. And yeah, so it was a bit disappointing. It missed the mark for me, but again, kind of like with Wonderland, I'm hesitant to get rid of this one. Some are so easy for me to be like, yeah, bye-bye. But this one I'm like on the fence more about. Yeah, so I'm gonna give myself a little time to mull it over, marinate on it. But yeah, I was really happy though that I did it. I managed to complete 7 series in 7 days. I really had myself nervous near the end. Like I said, Tuesday I read so much and I still felt like, shit, I am never going to get this done. And I was only able to, I think, read as many series, complete as many series, and read as many volumes because I didn't have work for most of those days. I only had work for a couple of those days, and it was like a lighter schedule, so that's why I took the opportunity to do it then. But the last day I did have work, so I was like, shit, I screwed myself like that. I read so much on Tuesday just to try to complete my challenge, because I really didn't want to fail my own challenge. That would be really embarrassing to me. But yeah, all in all, when I added them up together, I read 45 volumes in 7 days, and I think that's fucking crazy. Like, when I break it down to the actual amount of volumes I read, it seems even more like, okay, yeah. I think that's like really the only thing I'm good at, is consuming a shit ton of manga, because I have no life and I read pretty fast. But yeah, so it's like my one thing. Like, if someone were to ask me, like, oh, what are you good at? Reading manga. It's not a flex. It's not a flex. But hey, it helped me in this challenge. And yeah, let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these? Did you like any of these? Did you hate any of these? Did you agree with my feelings on them? And also let me know if you like this challenge, if you like the idea of it. Would you like to see it again when I'm able to do it? Again, I can only do this when my schedule is super light. Or I could try to mix up the challenge and like do only like duologies and very short series, like under 4 or 5 volumes, and try to read a series every day. That would be kind of a challenge in and of itself. I don't know, food for thought, or if you have any cool ideas, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm always open to suggestions. And yeah, I hope you really like this one. I did a lot of reading, and I enjoyed it for sure, but I also killed myself about it a little bit. Like I stressed a lot about it, especially at the end, and put a lot of pressure on myself to complete it. So if you could just hit the like button, you know, give me some kudos, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. And if you aren't yet, please subscribe. What are you waiting for? We have a lot of fun reading a crap ton of manga over here. And you can see what I'm reading and how I feel about it if you keep watching. And yeah, last Saturday, Spotlight Saturday video was about Usatogi Rhetoric. If you want a good mystery series, that one's so cute and cozy. And I also shared my first PO Box package in that video. Thank you again for sending me Monstrous. I absolutely am loving the art. Story's a bit weird, but interesting. So yeah, I haven't finished the first volume, but I'm making my way through it, and I'm really interested to read more. So yeah, I'm super appreciative. My PO box will be in the drop down box below if you want to send me anything. You know, thank you in advance. And that'll do it for my last video of September. Oh my god, I can't believe October is right around the corner. Spooky season! I'm so excited for my spooky season videos. I hope you really enjoy them, but yeah, I won't give too much away now. You'll have to wait and see. So until then, bye!